right here in Oklahoma City, America.
It's finally dry and sunny.
Dry and sunny, yeah, we sing the rain song, we got lots of rain, so now we're changing our opening song this morning, so everybody get over the election, because we don't want to talk about it.
We're going to just do our work.
I don't want to talk about it, I don't want to cry about it, I don't want to worry anymore. Don't want to think about it, don't want to fight about it, don't want to ponder anymore. I don't want to read about it, don't want to read about it, don't want to ask someone else what they think. 'Cause this beautiful world I'm waiting to see, I think I'm done trying to change you. This time I'm changing me. I wanna walk like it, I wanna live like it, I wanna feel it in my bones. I wanna breathe it in my suffering, so maybe just one soul will see that this beautiful world we're trying to find, we're only gonna get there when we change on the inside. We gotta change on the inside. We gotta change on the inside. If you wanna see the light, you gotta be the light, shining on the darkest day. If you wanna see the change, you gotta be the change. Just takes one to show the way. 'Cause there are hands to be held, and stories to tell, and hearts that ache to be free. Love to share what we're in, and peace to begin. If not you and me, then you and we gotta change on the inside. Change on the inside. We gotta change on the inside. We gotta change on the inside. Change on the inside.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Welcome to United Life Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Addison Blinds. I'm so grateful to be here with every single one of you, whether you are here in person or live on Facebook with us. Before I share some announcements, let's affirm United Life's vision and mission statement. I'll read it aloud and you're welcome to join me or just listen if you wish.
We are a loving, inclusive community, joyfully expressing spirit. We honor, celebrate, and support each individual's awakening to their spiritual magnificence. We empower each other to create happy, healthy, abundant lives.
And so it is. Thanks to those of you who joined us in our great discussion last week for the town hall meeting. If you weren't able to attend that meeting and you would like to know some more about what was talked about, excellent notes were taken by our secretary, Lindsay Stanford, and Revlin has some extra copies. If you would like a hard copy as well, we can email that to you. Just let one of us on the council know. Today is also the regular monthly meeting of our council, Leadership Council. That starts at 1 p.m. Please note the new location. This is a change from what we had previously published. Today we will be in the meeting room of the War Acres Library, located at 5901 Northwest 63rd Street. I almost said 23rd for some reason. That's not even written on the paper. Just east of the intersection of 63rd and McCarthy.
Just west.
Just west.
I had something else on my mind when I got to that word.
And
It's west.
West
And
of
I just
63rd and
believe
MacArthur.
Provisions is just east, so you can stop and get coffee and a snack on the way. west. That's how that works. That's what I had in my mind, was coffee.
Well, I'm
and
gonna
snack.
believe the west about which direction is west versus east, so. If you have any items that you would like for us to discuss as a council, or if you would like to attend the meeting as a guest, please talk to our president, Linda Weston, or any other council member. Again, that is this afternoon at 1 p.m. at the War Acres Library. As we get closer to the end of our calendar year, we hope that you will continue to think about serving on our leadership council for 2025. As two of our current members retire from the council, we want you to be thinking about whether this is a way that you can serve our beloved community. Again, please talk to Linda Weston or any other council member if you would like some more information on that. And finally, as always, thanks to all of you for your gifts of time, talent, and treasure to United Life. Whether you put a check in the mail, put a contribution in the donation fund, or whether you have put a donation in at unitedlife.org, your gifts make our gift to this world possible. We all are the light and the life in United Life. And let's begin with the leadership prayer portion of our service.
Let's just sit back and relax. Breathe. In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am. Letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. And I lose myself when it seems I've lost my way. I go inside to quiet my mind, and your spirit gently say, there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love.
Yes, and just breathing into the words of that song. Oh, it gets to be an interesting day and an interesting week as we talk about abundance and gratitude all this month. And then how much of this week has been kind of what the heck is going on as we process this week's events. Came across a story that I'm finding helpful to me, and perhaps it's a way to key back into that gratitude that makes everything easier. So as the story goes, there's a church breakfast. All the congregation has gathered to have breakfast together. And there's some discussion about who should say grace, who should open with a prayer. And the minister says, well, I'd really love it if one of you would do so. And consensus arises that what if the oldest member of the congregation was to give the prayer? The minister says, okay. Well, the oldest member present is this old dirt scrabble farmer, down to earth, overalls, tell it like it is kind of guy. And the minister knows the man and likes him, but has never heard him pray. And it's like, okay, we'll trust this. And the farmer says, yeah, I'd love to open with a prayer. And he opens with, Lord, I hate buttermilk. And the minister's like, okay, what are we up for here? Everybody's kind of straightened up in their chairs a little bit, and they're listening. And the old man continues, and I really don't like lard. Okay. And you know what? I am not a big fan of raw white flour. But Lord, when you mix them and bake them, the best biscuits happen. So Lord, right now I am just thanking you for the biscuits. So that's been my prayer this week. As I look at what looks like a whole lot of buttermilk and a whole lot of lard. No, I don't like buttermilk very much. But I can imagine the biscuits. And I know I have to participate in the process of mixing and baking those biscuits. And yes, I can agree to be that, to step up in whatever way is mine, whatever is mine to do. And I get to listen for the divine input of what is mine to do, and then step forward into it. And that's how I'm choosing to be grateful right now. And let's take that into prayer. So get really centered in your seat. Let's say uncross your legs, but I'm happy with my legs crossed. So there. Deep breath. Let it all out. And center down into that space at the core of our being, at the core of everyone's being, that knows the truth of God's presence, the divine innermost reality of every being. Because if there's only one God, one spirit, one source, one whatever you want to call it, and it lives itself as wholeness and allness and omnipresence, then it must be right here inside of me, inside of each of us, inside of every being. And it must be inside of every exchange of energy. If it's all God energy, love energy, divine energy, then even the confusing energy of some conversations and some actions that we see in the world is divine energy doing that very confusing thing right now. And so trusting that and owning that, I allow the truth of the divine in me to be the truth that I allow to shine right now. To be the truth that I promise to live from right now. To be the love that I choose to express in the world right now. And standing in that and trusting that, I speak my word for healing wherever healing needs to happen. I speak my word for connection and communication and compassion, wherever that needs to happen. I speak my word for Spirit in action to lift us out of whatever harm we seem to be causing to each other and upward into loving community on the local level, on the national level, on the planetary level, on the universal level right now. Because Spirit knows how to do that. And Spirit knows how to use us to do that. And so I agree to be what I need to be, to say what I need to say, to live how I need to live, to make that happen. And I'm grateful for the change, that shift inside me, just like the song a minute ago said. And I'm grateful for how good that feels to honor it and to live it. And I'm grateful for the change in the world that I can't see yet, but I know is underway. Because Spirit is doing that. And because I have spoken His word in agreement with that. And in that gratitude, I simply let it go, and I let it be. And together we say,
And so it is.
We are dancers in the light and singing. We are dancers in the light of truth. We are dancers in the light and dreaming. And this dancer made of light is you. La 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 la. And this dancer made of light is you. Please say you are free. Please say you feel it deep inside. You may not know it speaks so gently, but you'll see in time. We are dancers in the light and singing. We are dancers in the light of truth. We are dancers in the light and dreaming. And this dancer made of light is you. Life inside knows so surely what is right, what is true. A voice inside speaks so purely. It's in me, it's in you. We are dancers in the light and singing. We are dancers in the light of truth. We are dancers in the light and dreaming. And this dancer made of light is you. La 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 la. And this dancer made of light is you, is you, is you.
Taylor, and I use they, them pronouns. And our theme has nothing to do with the election, but there are feelings about the election, and even though we started off by saying we don't need to talk about this,
Thank you.
I'm not going to ignore, but I want to remind us of our November theme, which is a bun dance, which nobody was into. Everybody's like, abundance, that's fine, but a bun dance, nobody was trying to do this dance around abundance. And this theme, this pun of more buns to share, there have been all these big eye rolls, but like, I'm just going to lean into the sharing part. That's what I started with, was, looked at the material that the Global Themes team provided, and I love puns, but I think this November has just come with just an eye roll. That just is what it is. So I'm gonna lean away from that. And so I went to like my go-to books and just started with the word share to see what came up for me. And one of the books that I went to is called Braving the Wilderness, The Quest for True Belonging and the Courage to Stand Alone by Brene Brown. And I'm not a giant Brene Brown fan, not anti-Brene by any means, but I don't have a ton of Brene Brown books. And the reason I had this one in particular is when I was hired at home office, at Centers for Spiritual Living home office, they utilize a kind of book study as part of the monthly staff meetings. There are actually like 2 staff meetings a month, and one of them was focused on the book. And this was the book that they were studying when I got there. So I got this book, and when I searched for the word share, this practice, Viola Davis's belonging practice, popped up. And what's significant about that for me is that I worked for Viola Davis in 2017 is when I started at GB Productions, which was 1 year after Trump got elected. And I got an opportunity to really reflect on what that time felt like for me in that moment. So when, in 2016, I was working at Creative Artists Agency at CAA. This is how I ended up at GB to begin with, I was working at this big talent agency, and I had been a minister for 5 months by that point. And many of you know that I went to ministerial school for my own education. No part of me was trying to go around and share wisdom with the community. I was just out here trying to function, and I felt like ministerial school was the education that I needed to walk through the world understanding the assignment that the ancestors had given. I didn't understand the assignment, so I went to ministerial school to learn how. And so when Trump was elected and I walked into work that morning, all eyes just went to me when I walked in the hall. And they said, okay, Reverend, give us a word. And like, I'm a talent agency, had been a minister for, none of these people had ever seen me speak anywhere. And I did the best that I could to lead with light and love. And I wrote a blog called Love Wins. I wrote another blog called Love Wins 2 after Biden's election. And I am in the process of writing Love Wins Part 3 for a dissection around what's going on, because it's very important to me to lead with inspiration, which doesn't mean that I am suggesting that people not feel their feelings. It just means that I see my assignment as an opportunity to demonstrate that there is something good to be mined from here, and this is, I can be the person that brings our attention to that. You get to feel your feelings, I get to feel my feelings, but I have felt cold. I actually didn't even feel cold. I've been running from the call for a long time, and eventually it caught up to me. So I've embraced this understanding that I have been divinely assigned to find the inspiration in dark and challenging moments. And it is no small thing that during that time in my life that I found myself working for a production company led by this woman that leads with inspiration as well, and having an opportunity to learn from her while the city that I was in Los Angeles, were feeling the feelings that they were feeling. So this Brene Brown book was written post 2017, Viola never ever mentioned these things specifically. I didn't even know this practice was in this book. Working at this company, I had no idea until I was assigned this book through home office that this practice was even inside of it. But knowing who Viola is, she absolutely lives these principles. So it makes perfect sense to me that she has this guided belonging practice that she shared with Brene Brown. So the first is I'm doing the best that I can. And personally for me, I was inspired to recognize that I'm doing my best through the 4 agreements. One of the 4 agreements is to always do your best. And I've lived consciously from both choosing to do my best and also recognizing that instead of giving myself a hard time for how I might have shown up or how something turned out, to remember that I am doing my best. So for me, it was such a beautiful experience to be working at a place where I lived from this understanding of I'm always doing my best, and the company that I'm a part of also supports me and operates from that way of being and that way of thinking. The other thing, and this was my biggest one, is I allow myself to be seen. In 2017, I was not big on allowing myself to be seen. A big reason for why I was running from ministry is because you gotta really be, I'm literally standing in front of this room of seated people really being seen in this moment. And I did not like that feeling. I was down for if you want to pay me to come and give you a message, and that's the way that I looked at it. But the idea of working full-time as a minister was really terrifying for me because I wasn't comfortable being seen. And working at GV Productions, Viola really lives and comes from that understanding. And on top of that, it is trickled down throughout the company that I was encouraged to participate in meetings from the very beginning. Interns are invited to come into meetings and share. And that is really, really uncommon for Hollywood, that not only do interns get to sit in the meeting, but use their voice as well. Interns were invited into every aspect of the business that we were doing. And the third belonging practice, go further. Don't be afraid. Put it all out there. Don't leave anything on the floor. That was also an incredibly valuable quality to have at work, to be around people who are encouraging me to do more despite who is in office. Fourth belonging practice is I will share my stories of failure, shame, and accomplishment with my daughter. This is Viola's practice specifically, but same thing, that we had these really authentic conversations on a regular basis around how we were feeling, supporting one another. It was really incredible experience for me to have. So while at GV, there is a big quote. When I first started working there, I started as an office manager. I worked my way up to a creative executive in the TV department. But when I first started working there was, as the office manager, I sat in the chair in the reception area, and there was a giant glass wall behind me that said, "Dream big, dream fierce." And to sit in front of that quote every single day, and starting with the decision of moving from office manager to executive, which is not a very common path in the entertainment industry either. I had assistance experience, so it's not that big of a shift, but for me, it started with, I was sitting in my chair, in this chair in front of Dream Big, Dream Fierce, and Julius, Viola's husband, who ran the company day to day, literally yelled from the other room, "Damn, girl, you killing it." So I was like, "Great, I love that you feel this way." So I got up and I was talking to him, and he said, "When we renew our deal with ABC, I'm going to talk to them about creating a position for you in the television department." And I specifically asked if I could have the TV executive title. So having this quote in front of me helped me make that leap from office manager to executive. But I always knew that being a TV executive wasn't my dream. What it was safe. I knew that if I was working as a TV executive, I have the company card to pay for my meals, that despite who is in office, despite shifts and and strikes, the actors strike, the writers strike, regardless of what is happening in the world, being an executive comes with a level of consistency that I was comfortable with. And this idea of being seen, because being a writer would have meant that my words are the words that you hear on the television, being an executive allowed me to be behind the scenes of what was going on and have the comfort of the consistency of knowing where my next paycheck was coming from. And in 2020, when the pandemic began, that experience of not being in that space, having those conversations with those people, was really, really difficult for me. But when Los Angeles exploded in fire, like literally where we had a 4 p.m. curfew, could not be out in the street after 4 p.m. in Los Angeles, that experience really shook me. Not just because I couldn't leave my house after 4 p.m., but also the amount of people looking to me for light and guidance. And I felt fully unprepared in that moment. I felt completely uneducated. And I felt like at that point in my life, I had been senior minister of Spirit Uncensored for like 2 years. And I felt like I'd let our congregation down by not having that insight and not even knowing where to look for it. But what happened in 2020 around that time is all of those opportunities to find healing presented themselves. That spaces for healing manifested pretty much overnight. People who had something to give and had something to share came forward and started creating these spaces for healing, and I showed up for those things. So now I'm 4 years into my healing journey, and I feel way more comfortable with the results of any election than I did back in 2020 because of the shift that occurred on the planet. I shouldn't say the planet. I'll just say, no, it was a shift on the planet. We had a global pandemic going on, and all of the ways that each one of us engaged in healing was our own perfect thing. And so my goodbye for I made the decision to leave Juvie when I realized that I couldn't run anymore. That there was something that I had to say around what was going on. And I had to, one, commit the time and the space to do that healing work so that I was clear on what it was that I was saying, and also to know and trust that Spirit had my back. And what really got me there was when I was having a conversation with Andrew Wang, who was our head of television, about feeling like I needed to take mental health time off, and how I was planning to focus on getting staffed as a TV writer because I couldn't forget about this dream big, dream fierce, this inspiration to be a TV writer that was on my heart since I was 11 years old. I couldn't forget about it. So it felt like this was the time that I needed to commit. And Andrew said to me, it sounds to me like you need to take a leap of faith. And for Andrew to be the not spiritual person in my life, for him to be my boss, the person who, I always said that his meditation practice came from his morning workouts. Like he lives these principles, but not in this, using the same language that we use. But he just had his own understanding and belief around spirituality. But for him to be the one that said to me that maybe it's time to take a leap of faith, I heard that. And I felt as if I needed to trust. I needed to operate from a place of faith unlike I ever had before. And so I wrote the subject line of my goodbye letter to LA was Dream Big, Dream Fierce, around my personal dedication and commitment to focus on TV writing. And in the last 4 years, some of y'all know, this script called Spiritual AF that was being developed, and things in Hollywood right now are kind of in the post-writer strike, post-actor strike, Trump era. There's a lot of, people are not buying a lot right now. And there's a lot of questions around what the best investments are and what the best TV shows there are to make. And it really feels like for me that I've got an opportunity to experience the beauty of the creative expression. That I don't need to have a television series, a pilot that I wrote, actually make it to air. I get to trust and know that Spirit is guiding the entire thing. And if I am ever meant to be somebody that produces a television show. Spirit will pave the way and make it happen. But this experience of ministry that I've been running from for a long time got very, very loud and very, very clear. And I know that the entire reason I ever wanted to be a TV writer was to use television as a way to inspire, And it doesn't matter what the medium is. It doesn't matter whether it is a ABC show or this talk on YouTube or this room right here. If what the call on my heart was to inspire, then that is what I am here to do. And to recognize that, to embrace that, and to know that Spirit is in charge of however the message is received and however it is disseminated, letting Spirit do that work and allowing myself to be divinely guided, that was a whole feat in figuring that out and living consciously from that perception. So one of the books that supported me in taking the time for healing was Tricia Hersey's Rest is Resistance, a manifesto. In this book, she writes, "This is political work that is unafraid to step into the light of our dark shared history that is recreating itself through our individualistic and disconnected delusion of what is really happening to us when we don't rest deeply." So for me, it was not until 2020 when I recognized how grind culture was so firmly embedded in my body and in my being, and in what ways that it didn't serve me. The important conversation about race that we began to have in 2020 helps me recognize that I was taught to work twice as hard as my white counterparts because that is something my ancestors had to do. And for what it means for me to understand the assignments is to know that my ancestors worked this hard so that I don't have to, that I can recognize the value of rest, that I can choose it, and that I can allow for that healing of white supremacy, of what it is like to grow up in a world that says I have to work twice as hard, and for the world to evolve to a place where I don't have to anymore. To recognize that and make that shift was huge for me. To give myself permission to rest, to give myself permission to heal was huge for me. And I really have to credit 2020 for giving me that opportunity and that experience. The other thing I was thinking about with 2016, when Trump was elected in 2016, the Women's March occurred very shortly after that. And in Los Angeles, where I was living at the time, working at CAA, like I mentioned before, my boss invited me to it. And I was working on having a great relationship with this person, because the happier she was, the happier I was. So I was excited that she invited me to meet her at the Women's March on Saturday morning, and made a decision to take public transportation because I wasn't trying to deal with traffic and parking downtown. And at the train station, when the train pulled up, and I lived a ways away from downtown, many stops away from downtown. When the train pulled up, the entire thing was full. And we had to ride the train and going in the opposite direction and get on that last stop to wait for it to fill out to be able to even get downtown, which demonstrates the massiveness of what this demonstration really was. And so for me to have, I never found my boss that day because it was a madhouse downtown, but to be among women advocating for gender equality, I had never experienced that in my life until that moment. And something that I noticed was that when Trump was elected in 2016, that there was a movement towards inclusivity and equality unlike I ever experienced before. And I am grateful to remember that the anger and the feelings that people are feeling right now, this energy moves into taking action that we collectively genuinely need. And the healing work that I did as a result of the last election is inviting a whole nother generation, or the same generation of people who didn't do the healing 4 years ago or 6 years ago, whenever it may be, that all of these events inspire our own personal healing journey. And we have an opportunity to recognize the light, to know that as Rev Lynn said, I posted that story that Rev Lynn mentioned of the flour and the lard, that we get to learn the practice and the habits of knowing that these raw ingredients may not be delicious on their own, but what they are doing is manifesting themselves to create the opportunity for us to really create some delicious experience in the United States, which I'm fully here for. So I'm going to close out with Pam Grout. This is the book of the month, is Pam Grout's Think and Grow Rich. She calls this the Think and Grow Rich investment portfolio. And number one is start investing good things in your life. That's living each day as the best day ever. And it's important to me to clarify that living each day as the best day ever never means pretending that hard things aren't happening. That it's recognizing those hard things are those raw ingredients for the deliciousness, and putting our attention and our energy on the good things, not letting the hard things unravel us, which doesn't mean that we don't spend time with it. I like to give myself permission to maybe just spend a day. If I don't have anything going on and I'm feeling a certain kind of way, I will just give my permission to feel a certain kind of way today and be grateful for the fact that I have the time and the space to do it, or even making the decision of I'm going to reschedule these things, I'm going to cancel this, I'm going to give myself permission to be present with this. Rest is a big part of celebrating those good things, and sometimes those good things might be having an opportunity to rest and heal and process. Second thing in the Think and Grow Rich investment portfolio is to turn your life over to the big mystery. That is something I've had a huge challenge with. It is what inspired me to go to ministerial school to begin with, because this mystery was something that how can I turn my life over to something that doesn't even make sense? That my initial inspiration to even seek spiritual community was when the Obama-McCain election was going on. And it wasn't so much that I was concerned about McCain being president at that time. I'd actually voted for McCain in a previous primary. Me and McCain were homies. What occurred was that a conversation about race sprung up for the first time in my life at 27 years old that I felt really ill-equipped to deal with. And also, as I mentioned, I was ready to take a leap of faith and move to Los Angeles to fulfill my 11-year-old dream. And I really wanted to have a definition of faith that I can get down with. And for me, it's taken all of this time. And when I say all of this time, I mean like maybe last month. And I think I said this to y'all, because I was like, about a week ago, everything has fallen into a place where things are starting to make sense to me. That really did happen. Like, I had a significantly healing summer. Linda gave me this term of my Rev Casey's excellent spiritual adventure that I went on in April, and I thought that adventure was going to end at the end of April, and it ended up being an entire season. And October, things really started to make sense for me. But I'm saying this to say that this, not only did I go to ministerial school, but I spent a lot of time really asking myself, what is this big mystery? And how do I turn my life over to it? How do I have faith in something that I'm still even trying to figure out what it is? And recognizing it as a mystery, not needing to figure out what it is, knowing and trusting that these raw ingredients of the yucky things in my life are coming together to make some delicious biscuits at some point in the future. That was a process. It was a journey, and everyone's journey does not need to be ministerial school. That just happened to be mine. Everyone's journey doesn't need to be around being seen or not being seen. That's just what mine has looked like. I simply appreciate that the fourth one, relax and have more fun, is really what it's all about. That I choose to be somebody that does the best that I can to create a world that works for everyone. I resonated with that theme, that Centers for Spiritual Living tagline of creating a world that works for everyone, because that was something that was important to me. And I also understand that these qualities, these principles, this is what a world that looks like everyone looks like for me. That instead of focusing on the things that are not working in our lives, which collectively we do as a culture. I want to be somebody that encourages people to live each day as the best day ever. I want to encourage people to identify their own understanding of God and live from that perspective. I want to encourage people to move towards the thing that makes you feel the most alive and to relax and have fun. And the last one, as I mentioned, I just put in the word share. Share your good luck. Spread it around. Save a life. Serve the planet. We're connected to everyone anyway. Might as well be friends. I know how challenging it can be to be friends with people and family with people and have close relationships with people who don't seem to support my right to exist in this country. And I would never suggest that somebody engage with the people in their lives that make them feel threatened for their life to exist in the country. I would never tell them what to do or how to navigate their own healing journey. But what I can do is live from example. I can have challenging conversations with the people in my life and in my family, and I can choose who I keep in my life and who I keep at a distance based on those feelings. And I fully support everybody's right to be human and express their humanity in the way that feels most right for them. And if what that looks like is arguing with a homophobic uncle every year or throughout the year, one of the things that I did through Spirit Uncensored was I posted this conversation called America Unity. It was Unity and Civility is what it was called. And my uncle, I know. My uncle and I have very different opinions. That's what it is. My uncle and I have very different opinions. And he came up with the name Unity and Civility. We had this conversation of let's demonstrate having a civil conversation with our differences of opinions. That uncle no longer speaks to me. I thought that event went well, but that uncle no longer speaks to me and has told many family members that he hates me, and he is more than welcome to do that. I'm not knocking on his door saying, hey, let's hang out. With this concept of might as well be friends, I will lead with that. I will have a conversation about unity and civility, and I will stand in my truth, and I will stand in my right to exist, and I will continue to advocate for everybody's right to exist authentically. That is something that I will always do. And also know and trust that everything is unfolding collectively for our highest and best. And I am grateful, and I feel like I'm turning this into prayer. So I'm going to say, let's do it. Let's officially pray out. I'm going to move this out the way. And I'm going to invite each one of us to take a moment to get comfortable, to listen to the beauty of Joan strumming guitar, settling into this moment, feeling the breath in the body, and noticing how we don't have to breathe on purpose. We are always being breathed. But we can choose to breathe if we want to. And I am grateful that each one of us are people who recognizes our power of choice. That we don't have to accept the image and concept of spirit that is so loud in our country. That we are willing to explore what spirit means for us individually and do the best that we can to live in the big mystery. I am grateful to trust and know that the outcome of this election has inspired and continues to inspire each one of us to do what is ours to do, whatever that may be. And I am grateful to trust and know that the moral arc of history is long, but it always bends towards justice. And I'm grateful to live consciously from this understanding. I am grateful to know and trust that whatever is mine to do is being made clear, that each one of us are on our own perfect path, that we can be friends, or we can know our highest and furthest for one another. knowing and trusting that laughter and spiritual connection and perfect unfoldment is all a part of what it means to be the spiritual beings that each one of us are. And I am grateful for the opportunity to remind each one of us of our holy nature. And in gratitude, I invite us all to affirm this experience and this prayer collectively by saying, and so it is.
David, you want to say a few words? Well, we're going to do a song about sharing.
I remember as a kid, somebody gave me a Batman toy. I said, oh boy, and I ran and hid it. I'll come back when I don't have to share it with another kid. But I forgot, and I never did. Then 20 years later, I found that Batman again. Glad I've learned since then. Sharing is the very best part. Sharing your toys, sharing your heart. Nothing ever feels so good as giving it away. Having someone to play with. Being happy isn't having your own stuff. No, no. It's sharing your love. I remember my neighbor didn't seem to have enough to eat. Old tires on his car, old shoes on his feet. First I hesitated, wondered if I really had enough to spare. It's not that I didn't care, but I got my own worries, man. Well, life ain't fair. But one day I made some extra tuna mac, and she picked up the second pair of Adidas. Cause the truth was, sharing is the very best part. Sharing your love, sharing your heart. No, no, nothing ever feels so good as giving it away, making somebody else's day. Being happy isn't having more stuff. No, no, it's sharing your love. Sharing, sharing, sharing your love. Sharing, sharing, sharing your love. Then I met this girl. In a minute I was hers. In 2 months she was mine. Now I've never been so sure. Sharing is the very best part. Sharing your home, sharing your heart. Oh no, nothing ever felt so good as giving it away. Coming home at the end of the day. Sharing is the very best part. Sharing your life, sharing your heart. Nothing ever felt so good as giving it away. Coming home at the end of the day. Be happy isn't having your own stuff. No, happiness and having the most stuff. Be happy isn't having your own stuff. It's sharing your love. Sharing, sharing, sharing your love. Sharing your love. Sharing, sharing, sharing your love. It's sharing your love. Sharing, sharing, sharing your love. Sharing your love.
And now's that time within our celebration where we pay attention to the circulation of energy. If all energy is God energy, and love energy is God energy, human energy is God energy, financial energy is God energy. So as we pass the plate today, even if you're not putting something physical into it, hold it for a moment and bless it and feel the connection to the circulation of financial energy that you are committing to with this gesture, and feel the gift that you're giving yourself for doing that. And let's join in our giving affirmation.
I live in abundance. I am filled with abundance. I joyfully give from that abundance, and it transforms my life, and so it is. Unlimited, unlimited. Listen to me, children, hear what I said. Life is unlimited. Unlimited, unlimited. Listen to me, children, hear what I said. Life is unlimited. There's plenty of love, plenty of peace. We need never feel lonely again. When we open our hearts, we see we're all the same. It's time we let the love and come in. Unlimited, unlimited. Listen to me, children, hear what I said. Life is unlimited. But it's one tiny seed, starts a chain of life. It's growing by leaps and by bounds. And freely we give, because it's life with our love. Because there's more than enough to go around. Unlimited, unlimited. Listen to me, children, hear what I said. Life is unlimited. Unlimited, unlimited. Listen to me, children, hear what I said. Life is unlimited. Life is unlimited. Life is unlimited.
Have a great week.
Have another great week.
Best week ever. Have the best
Best
week
week
ever.
ever.
Yeah.